I'm pretty sure most of us are feeling like I am about what a difficult time it is on planet Earth when we have compassion and we see so much suffering. And I have found for myself that after watching the news or reading the news, I find myself getting very upset and hold this energy and don't really know what to do with it. And it's been making me very anxious. So, what I've done recently is something I'm going to share with you. And if you like it, take it. And if you don't, take whatever elements of it that you want to take. But it's been really helpful for me. Um, Behind me, you'll see a picture of green Tara, Tara. And green Tara is the female Buddha. And she chose to come in a woman's body and to be enlightened. And so I think a lot of us who are in a woman's body are very inspired by that. But she's certainly here for men and women and everyone. She's an embodiment of compassion. And one of the things you'll notice about her, part of the meditation, the way I've been taught to do it, is to visualize her. And when we visualize her, we don't visualize her way off in the sky. You can visualize her just not too far away from you and at about the same eye level. This is another picture of her, since you probably can't see the picture behind me too well. She's very, very popular in the Asian countries. Very well loved, very well respected. And besides being green, she also takes on other aspects, white Tara, black Tara. But I've been addressing green Tara because she is so compassionate. And one of the wonderful things about how she looks is you see her seated, like you see Buddha seated, but she has her right leg out. And the reason her right leg out is that she's so ready to come to our assistance. And I found that really, really beautiful and inspiring. And for myself, I've wanted something that's really, really simple, just a very simple way to address her and to go into a prayer and meditation. And so I'm keeping this so simple. I have a simple little mantra and I just pray it 21 times. You could do it 5 times, once, whatever works for you. And I'm going to sing it for you in just a second. The way I'm doing it, that I'd like to offer to all of you, if anyone is feeling the stress of the time we live in, what I'm doing is with every repetition, I just get a visual image of Haiti, Louisiana, our government, anything that is bringing stress to us. I simply am asking her almost without words, but just with a visualization, if she will bring compassion and ease the suffering. And of course, also Afghanistan, anything that is true for you. And for me, it's also the border of the United States and Mexico. So I just repeat this mantra. And the other thing I'd like to add is that for those of you who know Lynn and follow Lynn, she teaches about the vagus nerve and the importance of singing and humming, that by actually making these vibrations, we bring ourselves into a greater state of peace. So the other thing I'm finding is that this is bringing me great relief by being able to ask her to share her compassion. And by using my own voice, I'm bringing myself into a higher state and a calmer state instead of just holding on to that angst. So this is how, well, there are many ways to do it, but this is how I've been singing her mantra. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Swaha. And the translation of that mantra has to do with liberation, liberation for all suffering. So it's very simple. If you're interested, of course, you can look this up online, and they even have recordings of that same melody that I used, as well as many, many other varieties of that. So thank you for letting me share that. And like I've said, it's a blessing to me to find that peace, but I also am believing that the energy of this female Buddha is actually bringing her compassion to all who are suffering. And so now, to bring us into a place of stillness, I also like something that is very, very simple. It doesn't have to be complex. And so I'm going to be playing these bowls, and I'm going to play them in a very simple way, also as an encouragement for you that at any time, if you want to find your center and you want to find just peace and calm, one note can do that for all of us. So as you hear the sound, I would invite you to close your eyes, sit up, feel your breathing, breathing in and breathing out. And as you hear the sound, imagine that the sound is a wave. And as the wave goes out, it can help you let go of any overthinking, any worrying you might be doing.
That's no better.
Breathing in and breathing out. Just allow yourself to calmly hear the sound. Allowing worry and tension to fade. Just feeling at home with your own breathing, coming back into center. And so it is.
connection to something greater than us all. Take a moment, quiet the mind. Now you can listen to the heart, to the heart. Song of the Spirit, bringing inner peace, inner peace. So here's how it looks. It's pretty big. Whoop. All right. So Janie mentioned the vagus nerve. A lot of people might have heard about it more lately. It's an important part of us. It's really the mind-body connection. It's how the brain and the belly talk to each other. I want to give you all a simple exercise that helps to calm it. And when we calm this vagus, that goes from the brain stem down into the heart, into the liver, into the pancreas, down into the belly. It's very important. It also regulates all those different organs. So get your middle finger and put it right behind your ear. You'll feel a little indentation. So that is a gateway into calming the vagus. And then if you put your hands say on your jaw, all of these parts in our face are all connected to the vagus. And as Janie mentioned, if we can really get it going if we hum. So we're going to do this just for a moment. So just notice your state if you feel any more relaxed. But yeah, you can like do this anytime, like, oh yeah, put your elbows on the table and act like, you're listening to somebody and you're really like, oh, plugging into your vagus. Or it's really nice if you're in bed and you want to try to get to sleep. It helps with that. Nice thing to do in bed first thing when you wake up, calm yourself down. So I just wanted to give that little tip, because anything we can get is helpful on relaxing that nervous system, because there is a lot going on. Well, one thing that's going on in my life is my niece is getting married. Now, she has postponed the wedding twice now, and it's in October, but she's having the I don't know, some kind of shower on Sunday, and she asked me to play a song, and I decided, oh, I think I'll play this song for you all because I need to practice it. It's also another one of my favorite songs. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away upon the chimney top. That's where you find me. Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I'll watch them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue. I see clouds of white and the brightness of the day. But you know, I like the dark, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Even though there's a lot going on. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, so can I. All right. Well, I love that movie that song came from. So I am very excited to introduce my guests today, Tom and Kristen Bissinger. They have been, in our community, just their creativity all the way. They've done so much to bring creativity to the community. And I just love this couple. So there is Kristen and Tom. Oh, so such a creative couple. And Kristen was my she's my dance teacher for like eons. And Tom was my drama teacher. And yeah, remember we used to do that improv drama thing? Yeah,
Jaguar here too.
Yep. So what's interesting is both of them came, their roots were from a lineage of visual artists, even though they've been in, theater, dance, and music. But their lineage has been visual artists. And in the past 7 years, both of them have explored the visual arts. And so that's what we're going to view tonight. Okay.
So this bouquet is one that I made a long time ago. But it is, it's a combination of form and formlessness, of structure and improv. And that's one of the things I love about making bouquets, is that there's a wonderful structure to it, and yet it naturally is improvisational, because the plants aren't rigid and of one form. So you can see that in creating bouquets, I start out with the bones of the bouquet, the dark green and pink flowers that you see, maybe 5 or 6 of them in the background. Usually I pick 3 to 5 branches, large branches, to make the bones of the bouquet. And then I put in things like the bleeding hearts, and then the stilbe at the top to give the height, and then the peony in the middle to for the focus, and the daisies for whimsy. So I wanted to share with you bouquets that I make because I was thinking about art and how, for me, improvisation is my favorite form of art, and how you can improvise with natural materials like flowers. So next, I'd like to go down to the Cobb Studio picture. And for 7 years, I've been working with Kara Graver, who has the Cobb Studio in Chester Springs. And this is an interior vision of the Cobb Studio. Now, Cobb is similar to Adobe, but rather than making the mud and the straw into bricks, one uses it wet and builds up the material as you go. And Kara and her husband, King, along with a lot of volunteers, created this beautiful studio out of Cobb. And here is one of my recent creations, a vase. So this I call the chubby vase, and it was made for Joy Cutler, my sister-in-law. And it is made as a bowl initially, and then coils building up to the top. And many times with the bouquets and with the clay, I am working towards some degree of symmetry, because symmetry gives us a sense of calmness and beauty with it. But I also like asymmetry. And so here is a plate. This platter is from top to bottom. It's about as wide as my palm and finger spread wide, and the width of it is about as wide as my shoulder. So it's quite a large leaf that I used to create this platter. And again, I'm using the inspiration from nature, from the divine creation, to create this platter. And then I took a slab of clay on the and made it as thin as I wanted it to be. And then I rolled the large leaf into the clay. And then once it was bisque fired, I added the glaze and the sweep with the brush through the middle of it. So it's symmetrical and yet a little bit asymmetrical, because it's all hand built. I find that hand building suits me well because of the improvisational form that come to life through hand building. Now the next picture is even a bigger platter, actually. It looks quite small here in the picture, but it was really large. It was a very, very large burdock leaf that I rolled into the clay. And when I lifted it up, it collapsed, and I was really upset because I was looking for a big, huge platter, and it thought. So then this was a really good lesson for me, because it didn't turn out to be a big, huge platter, but when I crushed it together and formed it, it created a very beautiful bowl that is quite useful in serving vegetables or meals for a group. And it, again, I took the natural waving and curled it up and allowed it to unfold in its irregular form of beauty. Now the next one that I have is a large bowl. It's a large salad bowl or a serving bowl. And it is also done with a slab. And I took a cylinder of clay and carved designs into that clay when it was soft, that cylinder of clay, and then bisque fired it. And then once it was hard, I rolled it into the slab of clay and made all those designs that you can see in the pattern of this bowl. And then I took the slab and laid it into a wok lid. So this is quite a large bowl. And once you lay something flat into something curved, you naturally get folds. And there again is the improvisation of the for use of clay. I just allowed the folds to happen the way they did. And then I cut around the edges and crimped the edges like you would for a pie dough crust. And then finally, I placed my fingertips into the bottom of the bowl to add more additional texture. Next, I have a teapot. And this is a teapot that will hold about 8 cups of tea. So it's not a small pot. It's a regular size teapot, 6 to 8 cups of tea. And the teapots that I've been making, I make with the scraps of clay. So rather than, so once I've done something like the bowl that you just saw, I would take the scraps and form them into the shape of the teapot. And I saw that Kara had done this technique of making the rivets along the edges as the two form together. So it's not structural, but it's just decorative. And I then, once it was bisque fired, glazed it. And the next teapot is another form of using scraps of clay. You can see some of the scraps are right on top of each other and some have a little space in between them. And again, the form is free form, allowing the clay to do what it does so beautifully. Next, I have to share with you some pitchers. Now, the smaller pitcher holds something like around 6 cups, and the larger pitcher holds around 10 cups of water. And the way that I made the texture for these pitchers was to get field corn and take the corn cob and roll it into the wet clay. And neighbor bought a cup that I'd made with this same design. And when she gifted it to her daughter said, I'd like that same design within pitchers. And so I made her a couple of pitchers thinking that she might buy like one or the other and buy one of them. And she bought the whole set. So that was sort of a thrilling moment for me. And I love to use that clay, that red clay with the yellow glaze. Now the next the pictures of the animals is something that Lynn wanted me to add in, and that is it's a coat rack. So I was wanting to have something to hang our dog's leashes up on, and so I thought I'd make a coat rack and make each knob or each peg into an animal. So I did these animals, and then I screwed them down onto a piece of cherry wood and then put them onto the wall for hanging whatever we want to hang. And the very last one that I am showing for you today is a bowl that was done with a slab. It's a smaller bowl. And I took the slab and the wet slab of clay and placed it into a small bowl about the size of a large soup bowl. And then it naturally formed those ripples or folds. And again, it's the improvisation of the bowl that I enjoy so much working with. The ripples form and then you tweak them a little bit. And then I decided to put a dragon up the side of the bowl. And the dragon is glazed. The bowl, I have put iron oxide on that bowl. Kara, also a technique Kara has taught me. And then at the bottom, the jewels on the bottom of the bowl are actually pieces of glass that when they're glaze fired, the glass melts and creates those beautiful jewels on the bottom of the bowl. So that is my sharing for the evening of things that I've been making, just a few things that I've been making recently with clay.
Well, during the pandemic, it's been, what do you do with your time? And it came up to me to make a couple of videos of the work I've been doing.
Yes. Okay. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode 2 of Pathways Through Art and Story in the Time of the Pandemic. And today's episode is called Mosaic. But before I get to that, I want to speak to my ancestors, my own personal history, and my Aunt Nell and my Aunt Carol. So, Nell Sinton and Carol Sinton were my aunts. Here is Carol, here is Nell, and this is my mother, Marjorie. Photo by Dorothea Lang in 1921, the Walter Girls, San Francisco. So my Aunt Nell painted this picture here many years ago, probably in the 1940s, certainly 50s. And I have a couple other of her paintings. I grew up next door to Nell, my aunt, my mother's sister, so I was in her studio all the time. And my Aunt Carol, my cousin Pat, Tricia Adler, just sent me one of Carol's creations. Carol and Nell are both dead. And this has got Japanese writing on it, and it's a light little basket, just perfect and beautiful. And when I hold it, I hold Carol. I can feel her hands around this, because I watched her hands. She had interesting, beautiful hands and lacquered nails, and would make things carefully. And my Nell would make these mosaic things. So she inspired me with laying down, making bird baths and things out of carnelians from Lake Tahoe and little rocks, and creating these beautiful mosaics. looking at here is the flood of Isaias, a tropical storm this summer that put 1.5 feet of water in our basement. I'll come back to Isaias later. Because of that, this was re-landscaped. We had to change gutters, we had to reshape the landscape and build up another course so the water wasn't running down. So there's a new course of cinder block. And my neighbor Ethan, who worked on this project, said, Tom, why don't you do a mosaic there? We are installing the mosaic today, thanks to my good friend, the cameraman here and head of Wonky Eyed Productions, Bill Bryan. What we're going to do is lay in 3 pieces of tile work that I have created. So tell me what we're looking at here, dude. Well, we're looking at a snaky kind of thing made by Echo, although the plate originally said Hecho in Mexico, but this is what's left, Echo, that's the signature. And there's lots of little things, so the idea was to run this, just lay that out. And I built forms for these pieces, for the tile board. And then after that, I could take sections of things like, and use my little thematic stuff. Pretty much that's it, as I sort of felt it. Now I want to tie in that tiling that we saw down at the basement area with this piece. If you would, Mr. Cameraman, swing around and catch Isaias here, or Isaias. because of the rain from the hurricane or the tropical storm called Isaias, or I don't know how you say it. Do you know how you say it? I think it's Isaias. They put a Isaias, something like that. Anyway, Magpie Tail Boy. So these are pieces of ikebana which Kristen made, and they're little vases, Japanese vases, and you put a metal frog in it, and then you stick flowers in the center here. So anyway, Isaiah floods out our basement, foot and a half of water, and a lot of her stuff's floating in the middle of this water and broken. So she hands me a bag, says here, and I don't know if she meant just throw it out or what. So I looked at it, and there were these shards. So out of the shards came Magpie Tail Boy Isaias. And this, by the way, is a Indian incense holder. A very nice piece. So this piece was meant to be outdoors, is meant to be outdoors. I made it actually for Betty and Fletch, and they moved out of the area and they were loaded up and no way they were going to take this. So I'm holding it. Now you know, Betty and Fletch. This is for you, baby. One day. So there's a whole story of Magpie Tail Boy that our teacher, Joseph Rael, Beautiful Painted Arrow, tells. In any case, I honor Magpie Tail Boy, and there's a rainbow in the story, and the rainbow seemed like, oh, that's a nice touch. And voila.
Unexpectedly, as Vasero, the armless ambidextrian, was lighting a match between his great and second toe, and Ralph the lion was engaged in biting the neck of Madame Sussman, while the drum pointed and Teeny was about to cough in waltz time, swinging Jocko by the thumb, quite unexpectedly, the top blew off. And there in the starless wonder, the poise, the hover, there with vast wings across the canceled skies, was the black paw of nothing. 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 Nothing at all.
Very nice.
Thank you for all your technical work, Lynn. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's stressful. Anything you'd like to say before I open the mics, Tom?
Yeah, I would like to say, because he's on this call, I saw his name anyway, that you saw that the music was created by someone called John McHugh, MQ or MCQ. Well, he's my brother-in-law, and his name is Mac Hugh. It's a whole name. Anyway, John is an accomplished musician, and he sent me a whole bunch of his computer-generated tapes from which we extricated what we wanted to use on it, and I'm very grateful that we could do it, because I think it really adds a lot to the mix. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much. I love the movie, and we're gonna close with a song that Tom and Kristen wrote.
Well, Tom wrote it. I'm just singing along.
And I am going to dedicate it to one of our fellow sojourners tonight, or two of them, Andrew and Felicity McDonald, who
Took us to Jukai,
the beach of Jukai. And just very quickly, so it's a gorgeous beach, and we would go down I believe at our American Thanksgiving, as I'm recalling it, because it's off season for them because they're reversed from us. So very, very few people on this lovely beach, about an hour from Sao Paulo. And I think they call it the Southern Riviera. And it's a very quiet little beach community. And so just one day walking on the beach by myself, this song. Love's a drop of water, a grain of sand upon the shore. And every time you think you've lost it, there's more and more and more and more. Walking by myself, strolling down the beach, looking for some shells or something I can eat. Birds overhead, fishes in the sea. I found myself some grace on the beach at Jukai. Love's a drop of water, a grain of sand upon the shore. And every time you think you've lost it, there's more and more and more and more. Amor, 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 amor.